Hi, welcome to Sunset Park Garden. We had the unique opportunity last year to partner with a homeowner to basically design an entire new garden from scratch. I don't know if you've ever been faced with a blank slate, but it can be a little bit intimidating. So I want to share with you a little bit of my thought process for why we designed the garden the way we did, and just to give you a better idea of where we're going and to hopefully give you some tips for designing your own garden from scratch as well. So I think that good design starts with answering some questions. Every space has its own unique set of problems and challenging situations, so the first step of the design process is to find answers to some of those challenging problems. I'll share with you 3 of the main questions that I had to work through as I designed this garden. The first question was, what is the shape of the garden going to be? So you can see I'm sitting here on the steps of a really expansive, wonderful patio that was installed shortly before we began working in this garden. It's really wonderful for having space for family and friends and for container gardens, which we love. But it does add an interesting twist to the standard foundation planting because we are not able to plant any plants along the front of the home. All plants will be at least 10 feet away from the house. So to answer part of the answer to the question of what is the shape of the garden going to be is that we want the shape to be, the garden bed to be large and expansive. That way it's in proportion with the size of this 2-story home and this large expansive patio, as well as the rolling front lawn that reaches down to the street. Plus more room for lots of plants and a lot of room to add variety of plants, a variety of heights of plants that can help nestle this home into its surroundings without the plants sticking out like a sore thumb. The other answer to the shape question is, what is the distribution of the heights of plants going to be? I'll call it the topography. So if you think about a plateau, is it going to be mostly uniform in height, or is it going to be like a mountain range where there's drastic changes in heights of plants, or is it going to be like a slowly rolling plain where there are a variety of heights, but they just subtle change? Which is the option that I decided to go with. I think it'll help connect the rolling lawn to the home and keep the plants from sticking out too much. So how I'm going to achieve that is by planting tall plants on the corners of the home, which will help soften the rectangular shape of the home, and then tapering the heights of the plants down into the center of the home. Interestingly, the center of the home doesn't line up with the front door. But it is pretty cool when you turn onto this curving street that the house is located on. You get a really good view of the front of the home, and from that angle the plants should frame the front door really nicely. So it really creates a welcoming appearance. The second question that I answered is, what is the style of the garden going to be? So the home is an old home that's had a recent contemporary refresh. So we're going to have a garden that is similar. I love the old cottage garden style because it's so flower filled, so we'll have a little touch of that, but we're also going to have some strong contemporary flair as well, which means there will be a lot of ornamental grasses, a lot of plants with fine texture, and then combined with plants with bold, strong flower shapes that will interrupt the texture really nicely. We're also going to have some nicely trimmed shrubs that will add just like a very nice contrast of shape and add a lot of definition and will help frame the front door. So I used a lot of inspiration photos that I found in books, on the internet, or from gardens that we've visited. And you'll see just a strong trend of what I like, which is soft pastel purples and whites and yellows, some pinks as well, and fine textures mixed with bold shapes. Which brings me to my last question. What are the plants going to be? So this slope is southwest facing, which means that it gets a lot of hot afternoon sun. So I need to make sure that the plants can handle that heat. Also, it's pretty much full sun all around, so they need to be able to tolerate that. The soil was originally quite clay. Last fall we were able to dig in quite a few inches of compost, so now it's a lot looser, well draining, and that opens up our plant choices as well. And then finally, we want to make sure that we have a lot of multi-season interest. We're going to include a tree on the far corner, which is one of the tall plants that will help taper down and create that movement. It's going to be a birch tree with pretty white bark. And then on the other end of the home, we're going to include a large shrub that will help soften that corner as well. We're going to include a variety of evergreen shrubs for multi-season interest, a lot of spring blooming bulbs for spring color, and then some classic fall blooming perennials as well, so that we have something interesting to look at all year round. Last fall we were able to get some spring bulbs in the ground so that this spring we had a lot of beautiful flowers to look at, and now we have been working on installing all of the plants, and already it's kind of changing and altering the design a little bit. As we get the plants in, we can lay them out, see what they look like in the space, how much room we actually have, and how they interact with each other. Another big influence that is changing the design slightly is this retaining wall that was added by the homeowner along this really steep slope that goes down to the driveway. This makes the slope a little less steep and makes it a lot easier to plant the plants that we want to include here. And just a note, we're going to include a lot of plants that can form a nice little mat of foliage that will help hold the soil in and prevent erosion. So look forward to what that will look like in the future. And also stay tuned for more updates as the design changes and alters, as we get things planted, and as the look really comes together. I can't wait for you to join us.
Hi, I'm Kristen with Garden Gate Magazine. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe to Garden Gate Magazine's YouTube channel. There you'll find tips, design ideas, and how-to help for gardeners just like you. Click the bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new video.